No one in the WWE locker room expected this, and when the numbers finally leaked, even veteran superstars were left speechless. The story begins backstage at Monday Night Raw, where whispers spread like wildfire. An AEW champion, someone WWE never took seriously, had just had their true net worth exposed online. And the moment those figures hit wrestling media, everything changed. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. Analysts went into meltdown, and social media exploded with theories, accusations, and pure shock. Because this wasn't just a net worth reveal. This was a power shift. For years, WWE has positioned itself as the pinnacle of global wrestling success, the place where the biggest money, brightest lights, and highest contracts lived. But deep down, every superstar knows the industry has changed. AEW isn't just the new company anymore. It's a legitimate empire with TV deals, billionaire backing, and a roster that keeps pulling in worldwide attention. Still, nobody thought an AEW champion was making this much. As soon as the numbers were posted, the crowd erupted into chaos online. Screenshots spread across Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Reddit like a digital wildfire. Fans argued non-stop, "This can't be real. How is he earning that much? No wonder WWE wants him back." Viewers on social media went wild, demanding evidence and breakdowns. And wrestling reporters rushed to verify the figures before the controversy exploded even further. Inside WWE, reactions were even more intense. One producer reportedly stared at the leaked figure and said, "No way. Absolutely no way." Another talent agent was overheard mumbling, "If this is accurate, we're all underpaid." Even some of the company's top stars were stunned, comparing the number to their own deals and realizing the gap wasn't small. That AEW champion had quietly built a fortune through pay-per-view bonuses, premium merchandise cuts, sponsorships, appearances, and a contract that insiders now admit was way bigger than WWE imagined. And when the truth finally surfaced, it shook the entire landscape of professional wrestling. But the more shocking part, WWE had already tried to estimate this champion's value months ago. They thought they knew what AEW was paying. They thought they understood the structure. They thought they had the leverage. They were wrong. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing as journalists began comparing this AEW star's earnings to some of WWE's biggest names, and the numbers weren't far apart. In fact, in certain cases, the AEW champion was ahead. Suddenly, WWE wasn't just dealing with a rival company. They were dealing with a financial powerhouse capable of matching or even surpassing their offers. And if this one champion was earning that much, people started asking one terrifying question: how many others are sitting on hidden fortunes too? Because if AEW's top stars are quietly making millions more than expected, then the balance of power in wrestling might be about to swing in a direction no one predicted. And WWE is not ready for what comes next. What happened next sent shockwaves through both companies because the AEW champion's net worth didn't just surprise WWE, it exposed something they never wanted fans to know. In the hours after the leak, wrestling insiders began digging deeper, trying to understand how an AEW star had accumulated a fortune that rivaled, and in some cases outmatched, several main event WWE names. And the deeper reporters dug, the more explosive the truth became. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing as financial analysts dropped revelation after revelation, each one shaking the industry harder than the last. It turned out the champion wasn't just making money from wrestling, he was making money from everything. Exclusive merchandise deals, international royalties, high-end sponsorships, late-night talk appearances, Comic-Con exclusives, and even a private business venture that had gone public without anyone noticing. While WWE talent often had restrictions on third-party income, AEW had quietly allowed their stars far more freedom, and that freedom had turned into millions. The crowd erupted into chaos online when they realized the AEW champion had built a miniature empire behind the scenes. "This guy is playing 4D chess," one fan wrote. Meanwhile, WWE stars can't even open a side channel without permission. Viewers on social media went wild, praising the AEW roster for being smarter, more independent, and more business-minded than people assumed. But inside WWE, the mood was different, much different. Some younger talents began questioning their own contracts, whispering to agents and discussing leverage. Others were stunned at how much AEW allowed: personal branding, sponsorships, celebrity collaborations, things WWE locked down tightly unless they controlled the revenue. A few top veterans didn't say anything publicly, but behind closed doors, they were furious. The AEW champion's net worth didn't just show money, it showed freedom, a level of financial independence that WWE superstars had never thought possible. And as the numbers continued spreading, everyone realized something frightening. If one AEW champion had managed to earn this much under Tony Khan's system, then the door was wide open for others to surpass them too. Meanwhile, WWE executives scrambled to get ahead of the story. They held meetings, drafted internal memos, and even discussed adjusting certain clauses to prevent locker room unrest, because the last thing they needed was another wave of talent walking out the door. But it was already too late. The comparisons had begun. Sports networks started airing side-by-side salary charts. Podcast hosts debated the new power dynamic. Longtime wrestling journalists warned that WWE's financial advantage narrative was cracking. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing as AEW was suddenly being praised as the smarter, more lucrative environment for rising stars. And at the center of all this chaos stood the AEW champion, silent, confident, and watching the wrestling world argue about his value. But he wasn't done shocking people, because buried inside the financial leak was one detail even WWE didn't see coming. Something that would turn this entire rivalry into a personal war. Just when fans thought the drama couldn't get any bigger, a hidden detail inside the financial leak changed everything. And this time, it didn't just shock WWE, it infuriated them. As journalists continued dissecting the AEW champion's net worth, one section of the report suddenly went viral. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing as screenshots spread across every platform, highlighting a number that WWE insiders desperately hoped would stay buried. Because tucked away between sponsorship earnings and merchandise royalties was a line that instantly set the wrestling world on fire. WWE buyout attempts, rejected. That single phrase detonated across the internet like a bomb. The crowd erupted into chaos online as wrestling fans tried to piece together what it meant. Viewers on social media went wild, posting theories, leaks, and alleged insider quotes. And soon, the truth became undeniable. WWE had tried, not once, but twice, to lure the AEW champion away with a massive contract, and both times the champion had turned them down. This wasn't just unusual. It was unheard of. WWE had operated for decades under the assumption that money, legacy, and prestige would always win. If they wanted someone badly enough, they could outbid and outshine anyone. But this AEW champion had looked at WWE's offer, a deal worth more than some top stars' entire yearly income, and walked away. Why? That's what sent executives into a panic. They needed answers, fast. And soon, the AEW champion's reasons began leaking from anonymous sources. Apparently, WWE's contract gave more money up front, but AEW's structure gave long-term control, creative freedom, merchandising rights, sponsorship freedom, a lighter schedule, and an ownership stake in a future project Tony Khan was developing, possibly a new show, a brand, or a partnership that no one had known existed until now. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing as rumors swirled about Tony Khan offering certain top talents opportunities no wrestler had ever received from a major company. Some whispered about revenue-sharing deals, others about stock options, and a few insiders even suggested the AEW champion had been promised legacy-level involvement that would outlast his in-ring career. If that was true, WWE wasn't just outbid. They were outmaneuvered. Suddenly, WWE's biggest fear began creeping through the locker room. What if AEW was quietly building long-term wealth for its top performers? Wealth that WWE would never allow their stars to touch. The conversation shifted from why is this AEW champion worth so much, to something far more dangerous. Why doesn't WWE offer this to anyone? And that's when things exploded backstage. Reports surfaced of two WWE superstars calling their agents late at night. Others were seen huddled in corners, whispering hard questions about their contracts. The mood wasn't panic yet, but it was heading there fast. Because the AEW champion had done something no one expected. He had exposed WWE's biggest weakness. And unbelievably, the most shocking leak hadn't even dropped yet. Just when the tension reached its peak, the final leak hit the internet. And this one didn't just shock the wrestling world, it turned WWE's entire locker room upside down. Late that night, a new document surfaced from an anonymous source claiming to have full access to the AEW champion's financial breakdown. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing as the first images spread across X and Reddit. Unlike the earlier reports, this one contained something WWE absolutely did not want going public. A shocking comparison chart between the AEW Champions deal and the contracts of several WWE megastars, and the numbers, they weren't even close. The crowd erupted into chaos online as fans zoomed into the leaked chart showing how the AEW champion earned a bigger cut of merchandise than certain top WWE names, pocketed higher pay-per-view bonuses, and most shocking of all received a percentage of international revenue from select markets. Viewers on social media went wild, calling AEW's deal structure insane, genius, and way too competitive for WWE to ignore. But what truly set the wrestling world on fire was the final column in that chart, a column labeled, Future Ownership Incentive. That single phrase sent chills through WWE headquarters. According to the leak, the AEW champion wasn't just earning money, he was being positioned as a future stakeholder in a major AEW expansion. Some fans believed it was tied to a new streaming platform. Others thought it was related to an upcoming AEW-branded attraction. A few insiders whispered about an entirely new brand Tony Khan had been secretly developing. Whatever it was, it meant one thing. The AEW champion wasn't just getting paid, he was being empowered. And that level of long-term power changed everything. Inside WWE, shock quickly turned into frustration. Multiple reports claimed that a handful of superstars confronted management about their promotional restrictions and lack of outside earning opportunities. One veteran allegedly told a producer, "We're supposed to be the biggest company in the world, so why do they get more freedom than us?" Another star was overheard complaining that AEW wrestlers were building generational wealth, while WWE talent had to fight for every clause. Meanwhile, fans couldn't believe what they were seeing, as the leaked chart revealed that the AEW champions' long-term projections were set to surpass not just mid-card WWE stars, but certain main eventers as well. Suddenly, WWE found itself battling a narrative they couldn't control. AEW wasn't just offering wrestlers creative freedom, it was offering financial liberation. And in an industry where careers can end with one bad landing, that kind of security meant everything. But then came the twist no one expected. Buried at the bottom of the leaked chart was a final footnote, just one sentence long, but powerful enough to ignite absolute chaos on both sides of the wrestling war. It simply read, "Projected value increase upon WWE return, 3x. That line changed the entire story, because it revealed a secret that both companies had been hiding. The final line of the leak didn't just raise eyebrows, it set off a total war. Because that one sentence revealed a secret WWE and AEW had both been keeping quiet, a secret that could reshape the entire future of wrestling. Projected value increase upon WWE return, 3x. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. How could an AEW champion, someone already earning millions, already building long-term wealth, already gaining ownership incentives, triple their values simply by returning to WWE's? The crowd erupted into chaos online as debates exploded across Twitter, YouTube, and every wrestling forum in existence. Viewers on social media went wild, speculating whether WWE had been planning something massive behind the scenes. And that's when insiders started talking. According to multiple reports, WWE believed the AEW champion's growing fame, mainstream endorsements, and massive financial profile had turned him into something rare, a crossover commodity. Someone who could walk into WWE today and instantly spike ratings, merchandise sales, and international viewership. Something WWE desperately wants. But here's the twist, that value spike wasn't because WWE was offering more, it was because WWE needed him more. Behind closed doors, the company had allegedly planned several future storylines centered around signing a major defector from AEW, someone who could symbolize a dramatic shift in power. And according to the leaks, the AEW champion was their top target. However, Tony Khan wasn't about to let that happen. Not without a fight. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing as new rumors swirled. AEW was preparing a counteroffer even bigger than their previous deals. Early whispers spoke of expanded ownership shares, guaranteed TV appearances, and positioning the champion as the face of a new era for the company. This wasn't about money anymore, this was about legacy. WWE saw the AEW champion as the missing piece to reclaim. Dominance. AEW saw him as the foundation of their future empire. And caught in the middle was the champion himself, watching as his value skyrocketed across both companies. He had become the most powerful free agent in modern wrestling history, even though he wasn't a free agent yet. Meanwhile, WWE stars began reacting to the news. Some were stunned, some were frustrated, others were inspired, realizing that AEW's flexible model might give talent more bargaining power than WWE ever intended. One anonymous wrestler reportedly said, "If he walks into WWE with a deal 3 times bigger than ours, we all need new contracts." Things were changing fast, because suddenly, the AEW champion had leverage that no one in wrestling had ever possessed before. He wasn't just choosing between WWE and AEW, he was choosing the direction of the entire industry. And as fans continued arguing, speculating, and waiting for the next major update, one question loomed over everything. Which company will he elevate, and which company will he break?